Hello and welcome to another episode of Epic Fail. Before we get started tonight, I just wanted to reach out to those of you who have continued to help us fail. That is our Epic Fails, Craig, our Deliberate Fails, Joseph, Cuddles, Mickey, Flashgoth, and our Twitch subscribers, Draven, myself, and Jamie Joy. Thank you so much for allowing us to fail.
Warning, this show may contain mature language and is not suitable for small children, pets, or blood elves.
You're now listening to the Epic Fail podcast.
An illusion. What is she hiding? Sorry, I couldn't resist. Welcome to Epic Fail number 115. I know I say this all the time, but I'm never going to get over that 100 part at the beginning. So strange. Anyway, with me, as always, are the co-conductors. I can speak. I've only been awake for 4 days. It's okay. Co-conductors of the Fail Train. Up first, from the land of... She has a kitty, but just not at her right now.
He's right there.
Well, I don't see kitties, so...
Wait,
Scarlet.
You'll see a flying kitty.
Flying kitty. Okay. So, Scarlet, how are you and what have you been up to this week?
Flying kitty. Guess what I did? Rather, guess what I got?
A mount.
I did. Guess what one?
I don't know because I think you have all of them already.
I got the fox mount.
What does it say?
It says, fucking finally. It says, oh, you're going to have to edit stuff. I was a little annoyed, just a little bit. I did emissary quests on my paladin. My paladin's like 780 eye level, like really horribly geared. And I did the Suramar ones, and then I had to go do the stupid intro quest to actually turn the thing in, and then I get the fox mount out of it. So, you know, a year doing those every single time they're up on my Demon Hunter, nothing. 6 months doing them on my Death Knight, nothing. First time for my paladin. She gets it.
Well,
but
you know what that means, though, right?
No.
Means your paladin's the better character.
Yeah, no, that's not happening. Never. So got the fox mount, and then I swear I got another mount too. Don't remember. I did buy the promo pet and mount combo, so that's cool. What else? So I do have to say, I'm going to actually do my shout outs right now because I'm remembering. So just before the show started, I was doing one of the Suramar dungeons, the Archway. In Heroic, I specific queued for it because I have the Suramar quests. And I DC'd like 4 times in the dungeon, and the people were nice enough not to kick me. So that was good, because I was really worried that I would be kicked and then locked and I couldn't do it until tomorrow, which isn't a huge deal, just I didn't want to have to re-specific queue again and get halfway through and then DC. So that was nice. But if I DC, which cross my fingers I won't, it's because my modem is taking a dump. But anyways, so that was, my week. I did some Overwatch. Oh, I also found a little bit of a loophole, which I am loving. So everything from Blizzard is in American dollars, and that translates to like a lot more in Canadian dollars. So something that's 50 American dollars is usually close to 70 Canadian-ish, approximately. But the last time Hearthstone had an expansion, I pre-ordered the 50 packs, and I ordered it on mobile through the Play Store. And I had it billed to my cell phone bill, funny enough. But it didn't charge me American. And today, it did charge me American, but it only charged me 32 something American, equal to $49.99 Canadian, for the Hearthstone 50 pack pre-order. So I'm okay with that. So it came out to 50 Canadian, whereas if I had done it on the computer, it would have been 50 American. I like that. So I did the pre-order.
It's going to get fixed.
Yeah.
It's been 2 expansions.
You have this like secret charge on your card, and you're gonna be like, "What happened?"
It would be my
What is this
cell phone
extra
bill.
$20 and $20? I don't get it.
It would be my cell phone bill, but no, because it said specifically this is the American currency, this is the Canadian currency. But I heard there's something similar with Amazon coins, but I don't even know exactly what those are, so I'm not going to try to figure that out. But so I did the pre-order for the expansion because, are we going to talk about it? I don't know, but the expansion date got released. It's going to be the 10th, which is next week, I think. So I'm excited for that. I've been saving all my Hearthstone packs so I can open them all and get all the legendaries. I have like 4 from the events that they've been doing, but I also have like 13 other packs just from like there was 4 from choosing Colento and some promo and some of the like weekly classic packs. Anyways, I have 67 packs in total to open now. Not all of them are the new expansion, but I have enough gold to buy at least 40. Probably by the time next week comes, about 40 more, so almost 100 of the new packs. So I'm excited. So, yeah. You guys should do it too.
Psst, Draven.
I thought she was still going. I was thinking, maybe we don't need a show. We'll just let her talk about what she did this week.
Well, we got to give Hearthstone sometime, right?
We have a little bit coming up here in a bit.
Gal's gonna yell at us if we don't talk about Hearthstone more.
I agree.
Okay. I play a palette. I'll just hit bubble and let the boss break itself. Again.
Our ratings would go up, We should do Hearthstone.
Find me news.
Alessander. I'm sorry, Alessander.
Find me news, and I will put it in.
There's a lot of news. Look at all the PAX things. And there was the Lich King episode today where he works at Blizzard, which is hysterical, and you guys probably didn't watch it. And
so
I did.
So here's the thing on that. That all happened after I sent the link with the show notes, and I haven't looked at it since because I've been away from my computer for most of the day.
So I actually forgot to look at the show notes today. So
I'm really not surprised.
We're par for the course.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's me. Hey, Theory, this is what we need graphic-wise. Speaking of Theory, how you doing? What you up to this week?
I'm muted, so pretty good, I guess. I don't know why iced coffee. Weird, whatever, Cal. So this week has been good. You guys may remember me complaining about paladins a lot and how squishy and super butt clenching they are. We even named an episode about it, and I switched to a monk this week. Yeah, I did. So I took
his name throws me off.
His name is Fax.
And not like FAX.
No, not. I'm not faxing anyone paper. It's facts, as in not a theory, but a fact. It's an alt of mine, so it's alternative facts.
His first name, the first name that monk had was called Hypothesis.
No, because someone has Hypothesis. The name that monk had before was Monk Theory, because it was a temporary name. Because I, for some reason, have this weird thing where I move my names around between my characters. And then I'll just use like a filler name until I decide I want to play it again. I know I'm weird with all my alts. But yeah, its name is Fax. Fax without a funky character is taken on our realm, even though there is no character with that name above level 10 that you can search for. So I'm hoping that it will become available when the next expansion hits, so I can take it without the funky character. But yes, Hypothesis, Hypotheosis. There's like 4 other really good names. String Theory for my hunter, because he uses a bow. String Theory was a really good one too. There was some really good names that some of the CTM guys gave me this week when we were laughing about facts. But yeah, I gotta say that was a good move. And if there's paladins out there who are progressing on Mythic rating, I'm sorry, because Monk is a lot easier. They're both very reactive with how they work, but Paladin, if you don't react in 1/10 of a second, you're dead, and sometimes you don't have that long to react. And Monks, you've got lots of time to react before you die. So because of that, yeah, I'll be sticking with Monk. I was able to do Heroic KJ with CTM this week and the first boss on Mythic. No real issues. There's only one thing about Mythic Goroth, which kind of sucks, is that I was using a Paladin ability to choose one of the mechanics, which I cannot do on the Monk. But other than that, it was so much better. So that was my exciting stuff in WoW this week for the most part. Also, we got 2 new bosses down with the fire department this week, even though I was about to punch my computer screen, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about later. But we still got 2 new bosses down this week, so that was great. We're progressing. I think, what does that make us? Is that 6 or 7? Or is it 5? I think it makes us 6.
5.
Is it 5? Okay, so we're 5 of 9 heroic, so we're well on our way to hitting our goal. So that's fantastic. And Chickens got all the way to the last boss this week. So they got another new boss down this week too, so that was good. Really good progression week for all the raid teams this week. And now one of our buddies, Slim, who used to actually be the raid leader of fire department long ago, is starting to talk about doing an alt raid on another night a week. So if I do that, that'll be 6 nights a week that I'm raiding. Might be a little too much. I might need to slow my roll a little. But other than that, I played a lot of Overwatch, including some pre-stream before my mouse broke and I had to find an old one. I did not play Hearthstone this week because, GTA and other things. And yeah, that was pretty much it. But I will say this. Monks don't have the ability to make their life or health pool jump up to 20 million like DKs do in order to choose mechanics. But they do have the ability to use stagger, which is pretty awesome. So, Galv, you can shut it because you can jump your health pool up to 20 million with your nerfing monks. But no, Saturday is not an alt raid. No, it is not. It is a take your main and do old content team that may be happening. But still, 6 nights a week is still a lot of nights a week. So I don't know if I'm going to do that. But yeah, Draven, how was your week?
Well, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I now have officially cleared every order hall. I've gone through, finished every class. I have every artifact. And with the exception of the Concordance, I have every mount. Like, I went through and I did the mount quest on every character. So I know Rogue has a couple extras that I've got to, different colors and stuff like that.
Did you get
Drew-
the pet yet for Rogue?
No, I haven't gotten Concordance on my Rogue yet at all.
Oh, you need Concordance for that?
Yeah.
Shit.
Anything extra, you need the Concordance. You get one free mount at the end, and then anything else that you get, you need to have Concordance for. So, honestly, my favorite one out of all of them, I did a ranking. Barring my Paladin bias, the funniest one that I found was the Warrior. Had the funny one at the end. If you haven't done it, I don't want to do anything, but there is a throwback to a quest down in, I think, the Badlands from Cataclysm. And that's why I thought it was as funny as it was. But the best one overall, I think, was... Oh, I don't even remember which one I picked. They all blur together. It's so horrible. I did not like the monk one. The priest one was not very exciting either. It was okay. Mage was mostly okay.
Monk one was awesome. What are you talking about?
You're talking about the mount quest lines, right?
Yeah, the mount quest line.
Well, the warrior was awesome if you did it as DPS because it was basically just arena.
Well, I mean, it's the same quest chain no matter which you do it as. My warrior is prot, so.
Well, I mean,
it was easy.
It's 1v1 PvE arena. That's fun stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, of course.
Well, I'm talking the very end, like getting your mount.
Yeah.
That part there at the end. Yeah, the arena part. I did get a couple hidden artifact appearances this week. My druid got the resto shaman that you plant. Warrior got the arms, the sour fang axe, and all that fun. I've been getting lots of them lately, and I don't know. I'm like, and they're just everywhere. But yet I still don't have fire for my mage.
PSA: if you have a DK and you play Frost at all, the world boss for this week is the one that gives you yours, and it is a 100% drop now.
Yeah, I did that. And you don't have to be Frost. You just have to be on your DK, and you have to own the Frost artifact thing. But yeah, I've been getting a ton of them. I was going to go to the Mage Tower today on my Paladin. That didn't work out too well.
Mage Tower's down.
That's why it didn't work out.
Yeah. So, I'm going to let you finish. But 5 minutes before it was down, I decided to do one more attempt. And it went freaking perfect. And I died at 5%, and we lost Scarlet. Back to you.
So you died at 5%. I'm just going to say, I did set up my gear. I found like the best legendary combo, which is the boots and the bracers. All that fun stuff. But I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah, it's because we lost Scarlet. We'll fix the camera here in a second.
There I am. So yeah, it's been interesting. HOTS has been a couple matches a day, just to clear out the quest. I haven't really done anything there. Just it's been one of those months, I guess. And I have done Overwatch, mostly arcade, and people are getting on my nerves in Overwatch. So I'm bad at the game, but I'm being teamed up with people that are worse than me, and we're going against people that have 300 levels on us. It's like, it bothers me.
I get it. I mean, Overwatch is awesome right now, and that's super creepy. I'm sure our people who are watching really enjoyed that. But Overwatch is a lot of fun right now because a lot of people are coming back to it. But hey, she's back.
Hi. Did you guys hear me ask if I was DC'd?
No, you were already DC'd. But you did just save me from having to try to fix Draven's screen, so that's fantastic. Keep going, Draven.
That's pretty much been my week overall. not sleeping due to real life stuff, and being forced to be a chauffeur for a couple family members, which I get to do at 8 in the morning tomorrow, or today, since it's after midnight.
Yeah.
So not sleeping again.
You never sleep anyway.
Well, I mean, yeah, pretty much. But yeah, other than that, really not a whole lot going on my end, which is sad, but
Cool. Well, let's jump right into some new stuff. There's not a tremendous amount of news, but there's a couple of things that may take a little while. And, Scarlett may want to talk about more Hearthstone here in a few minutes, too. So let's go ahead and jump right in. This is the Blizzard news you can use. First up, Ben Bro does it again. Grabs your mind and raps to it and makes you wonder what the hell he was thinking. And then by the end of the song, you're like, wow, that was actually pretty good.
so this one is a lot more story based. Like he's literally going through the story of Arthas, which is fine. That's what needed to happen there. But it was also a lot more. It just seemed a lot more edited and polished, and all these other things that they're not bad. They just kind of. It just seemed overproduced to me, and that's not the first time I've heard that.
Well, this time it actually had like video to go along with it, and there was a background behind him. I mean, he was. It still seemed like he filmed the majority of it at his house, but it definitely seemed like there was a lot of stuff done before and after he actually did it.
I'm sure he filmed himself for the entire way, doing that because it just would make sense, and you just splice in the video as you want. It just, I don't know. It seemed overdone.
See, I liked it.
I thought it was
I'm
good.
not saying I didn't like it. I thought it was good.
Well,
It
a
just
lot of
seemed
people
overdone.
A lot of people were saying you needed to listen to it at 1.25 time, which I did, and yes, it sounded a little bit more professional, slightly sped up. But I thought it was great, and to be honest, there was a lot of that I didn't really know the whole story in, so I kind of picked up a couple of things about that whole thing. So I really enjoyed it. But then there was a response, right, Draven?
There was a ton, like instantly, there was a ton of remixes put out there and all that. And we're not going to cover all them, but there was a reply from, I think, one of the biggest Arthas fans in the game who is not trying to get him in bed. Looking at you, Scarlett.
What? I don't. What?
He's big in his blues.
Talking about Arthas.
I switched to Illidan, okay? I'm a demon hunter. Illidan's my man now, okay? Just saying. They switched allegiances.
Those
All
X's.
right. So anyway, Garrett from A Move TV, which does Angry Chicken, Into the Nexus, and so many other podcasts.
Isn't Garrett also sometimes on the Instance and Dills too?
Well, Garrett sometimes, not
Yeah.
often. Dills used to be on it more often, but
Gotcha.
Garrett was kind of very rarely now and again. He just happened to be around when they were talking about something that he knew about, kind of thing. So not all that often, but he did a reply to the Ben Brode rap, and I got permission for us to play it because it's actually really good.
All right. Now, hopefully this is queued up somewhere close, so forgive me if it's not.
I was curious if I could have the floor for just a minute, because I've been getting so many damn tweets about this rap. Everyone's like, Garrett, what do you think about Ben Brode's rap about your favorite video game character in the history of anything? And I came to a realization that there's only one real way to give my feedback on Ben Brode's rap, and sadly, it requires a beat, but I happen to have a really crappy one right here, So I figured I'll try something very weird and live, and hopefully it
What's
doesn't
happening?
suck. But here it goes. Ben Brode thinks Arthas is a bad guy. I disagree. You said the story of Arthas is a little dark. I contend he's a hero, your rap missed the mark. Where did Arthas go wrong? He never stopped being right. Uther lacked the stones, he was too drunk on the light. He should have listened to Arthas, but instead he stalled. He should have purged the town, he should have killed them all. That's okay because Arthas did what needed to be done. He brought the hammer down, he bodied everyone. So the townsfolk died, what would you have preferred? Every beating heart in Azeroth turned into the scourge? What I'm trying to say, you Alliance can't see. Arthas saved our world and you should bend the knee.
Yeah, slow claps. I liked it.
I thought it was good. It also helped that, Joss was laughing the entire way through. And, I mean, admittedly, you can see his literally reading his rap in front of him, but
He
That didn't
did it
take away
live
from
though. I mean, yeah,
He did it
anytime
live,
you
yeah,
do
it
it
was one
live,
take.
that makes a big difference. So, props to him. We
Yeah,
did our funny thing, but there was an awful lot of post production on our little funny thing. So, he did that live. I think it was impressive.
Yeah. He did his live and we did not.
Yep.
There's no way we were going to do ours live, which is good
Yeah,
because it
no.
took us, 45 minutes to get going?
45 minutes to record. That doesn't even count the time that I spent trying to make it sound right.
No, not even to get to the recording part, just to get started with the record.
True.
Like false starts.
True. So,
We're not rapping ever again, just saying.
speak for yourself. So,
Maybe.
there's this thing that you've been talking about. You wanted to come back for a really, 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 really long time. And apparently it's coming back. So why don't you tell us about it?
Lucio Ball, aka Rocket League in Overwatch, will be coming back Tuesday, the 8th of August. They did make a couple changes. Some I'm okay with, some I'm... Why? You can't go into your enemy's goal and boop the goalie out for the score anymore, which I'm fine with.
Boo.
I'm fine with that, but I thought it was literally you just can't get into the enemy goal anymore. I thought that would be a good code change. No, you just can't boot players, which I'm not okay with.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
That was part of the fun.
But the other big change is instead of using the alt to pull the ball, it is now basically turns into Super Lucio, which means you go faster, you jump higher, you shoot faster, all that other stuff.
I might like that better, although I don't know if I like that idea.
I'm reserving my judgment on that one, but
So it's like the Daft Punk song. Harder, faster, stronger.
I thought you said you weren't going to rap anymore, Scarlett.
I'm not. That wasn't rapping.
that's not rapping. That,
That
was
was-
spoken word.
That was pretty close.
But I like the idea of not booping the goalie out. I don't like the idea that you can't boot players at all. But we'll see. The alt thing is a little weird. I'm what?
You're just mean. You just want to boot players.
Well, that was a lot of strategy of it, knocking them out of the way so that you can suck the ball into you in order to score. Which
Damn.
is... Shh.
Scarlet PG-13. I already had to edit. I'm only going to have to edit once.
What? I don't even know what that is.
Anyway. So yes, Lucio Ball's back. I honestly wasn't a huge fan of Lucio Ball because I didn't really like the mechanic of having to suck the ball into you for the show title, as Alan said. But I did like the idea. I just didn't like the way it played. So those changes may actually make me enjoy it more. We'll see. We will see. All right. Now, before we jump into the quote-unquote, I'm stealing it from Cuddles, meat and potatoes of the show, which is our WoW section, was there anything else that you wanted to discuss?
Just brief mention, Garrosh is coming out live Tuesday to Heroes. I'm still debating on. I'm gonna buy him, but it's gonna be with gold. It just, I don't know. I'm still debating on if I'm gonna play him outside of AI, and that's it.
Oh,
He's a
guess
little
what?
weird.
I bought a hero in Heroes.
Which one?
I haven't seen you
Gold.
love
Diva. She's
Makes
awesome.
sense. Totally makes sense.
She's not as overpowered as she used to be, sadly, but
She's awesome. And then I haven't played it since. That was the last day of that promo, like last week.
well, if you do play it again, don't drop your Diva bomb, your mech bomb anywhere near a Stukov because he can shove it away.
So, Galv just said something, and I'm going to go out on a limb here because I haven't played Heroes in a while, but I've been telling you guys how tempted I am to play Heroes with all the cool stuff they keep coming out with and their strange cross promotions. If, like Galv said, Thrall gets to insta-kill Garrosh, especially with some kind of hand that reaches up and grabs him and then he gets struck by like 6 things of lightning, I will play HOTS with you for an hour and a half. So let me know if that happens.
Every day.
That's asking a lot. How about once a week? Considering I'm playing it not at all now, that's pretty good.
I will contact some hot people that I know how to get a hold of, so.
Did you just say you're... No, tempted. Tempted. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did not say tinted, although it may have sounded like that. Pretty sure I said tempted. But yeah, all right, let's go ahead and jump into our WoW stuff. You ready? Here we go.
World of Warcraft.
Where
Speaking
in
of Garrett,
the
there he
world
was.
is Jaina?
Jaina is going to BlizzCon.
Yes, she is. No, this was not
She
in our
is
notes.
the-
So I totally
Yeah.
just curveballed Draven here. I was going with the Carmen Sandiego song.
I love
In
that.
the world is
Damn.
Jaina. I guess we'll find out at BlizzCon.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier that illusion from Suramar joke because I sent them a reply that was saying that, and long reply chain that ends up with me getting a whole lot of Twitter notifications. Like, it's been going off all day since then, so I'm like, yeah, I'm popular for the day. Tomorrow no one will care, but today I'm popular.
So I'm excited for that. She at least isn't a Dreadlord yet. And she does look pretty heroic in that picture.
Maybe.
So we'll see what
She
happens.
doesn't look like a Dreadlord. Dreadlords look like actual normal people until they reveal themselves.
Okay. Well, I'm just excited to see what they give us. So
She doesn't have tentacles that we saw.
yet,
Yeah.
but that could still, yeah. Okay. So speaking of people who might be disappointed, by which I mean trying to grab a screenshot of a Q&A with certain people in it where one of them doesn't look really disappointed with the other one can be very disappointing because it's very hard to find. By which I mean today was a new Q&A.
Yesterday.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I guess it was yesterday. And technically, since now it's Saturday for us, this was 2 days ago. But whatever. So, back to my point. Do you know how many times I had to try to screen grab just to get a picture of these two from the thing this week where Ian did not look disappointed in lore?
Do you know how many times I sent, through our Discords, I sent a picture because there was in the chat, there was a guy, I was just happened to be there, and I wasn't there live, so it wasn't at me, but there was one guy in there who was like Buff Draven.
Yes, I saw that.
And I screenshot that, and then I MS painted the arrow on because that's my graphical ability there. And I was like, I agree with this
Reader
dude.
software.
And I think if I remember correctly, lore looked high or something, and it was just the picture just did not go well. But it was funny.
All right, so you guys have probably heard of the whole resting face, like a lot of people have. Like I have one of those. If I'm not smiling or
I
talking,
have one of those.
I always look like I'm angry. Ian
Yep.
doesn't really look like he's angry. He just looks like he's disappointed. every time he's not talking. It's like he's disappointed in everyone and everything. Like, he's probably hard to work for, I'm guessing, because how would you know if you did a good job?
I honestly think he might be a really funny person to work with.
Maybe. Anyway. So,
Oh, having actually talked to him, briefly albeit, but still, I have talked to him. Because I went to BlizzCon and met him and all that. 2015.
he's rubbing it in. He's rubbing it in right now.
There's like
Oh, I haven't been able to go back.
and it's just like, rub it in the wound.
Yeah. He is not. I can vouch for him actually being a nice guy. I mean, they're going to be hype up nice there, but he did seem like he was naturally a nice guy and fairly funny and willing to do weird requests. That sounds weird, but I told that story already about.
Go ahead and dig yourself out of this hole, Draven. What kind of weird requests?
I got the autograph with this and all that. So.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay.
And I wasn't the first one who did something nice for her that day. So
I imagine he's a very cool guy. You know, I like to think of myself as a semi-cool guy, and I know that I have problems where people always think I'm pissed off. But, yeah, that is a good alternate show title, Zato. Willing to do weird requests. Yep. All right. But
I'll have to put Theory's name on that, but okay.
So yeah, I think that he probably would be awesome to work for. I just think it's funny because of how long I had to continue to try to screenshot to get one where he didn't look like he was upset with lore. But anyway, let's dive into it because there's a lot. We'll do like we normally do. We'll go through all of them. We'll just pick out a couple of highlights to talk about because otherwise we'll be here for 4 hours. Because they did talk about a lot of things, not the things that I really wanted them to talk about, but a lot of other really cool things. So here's the first one. So, patch 7.3 content release timeline. They didn't really give us an answer, but they did talk about the way that the questing's going to work. That basically in the first 3 weeks you'll finish all of the entry-level quests, or at least they will be available to you, so you're not going to have this 11 to 12-week time gate where you can only do one quest to bring someone some kind of shards that they're going to give you back most of them in order to progress it for one more week. You will be able to do everything after the third week, so that's really good.
So for the record, that particular quest you're talking about was funny the first time. Not so much the 8th time, 9th time, especially not the 12th time.
Totally agree. One kind of cool thing, Artifact unlocks in patch 7.3. As soon as you hit level 110 on a character, all of your relic slots are unlocked right away. Draven, since you just pretty much did this, as well as get your mount on almost all of your characters, how do you feel about the fact that people will not have to actually work for it anymore on their future 110s?
Doesn't bother me.
Totally not the answer I was looking for. All right, continuing to go.
No, I mean, honestly, it doesn't bother me. I happened to do it prior to. And that's the same thing that we talked about last week with Kill Jaden, the Mythic Kill. I did it before that. So that's part of the process. It's a catch-up thing. That's all it is.
I did hit 110 on my 10th Alliance character today because of invasions. And pardon the dog noise, but I have one left to cap, but most of mine that I don't play often actually have not completed all of their relic things, so I will actually benefit from this, at least partially. Let's see what's next. No longer have to do the Broken Shore quest line to allow your artifact to go beyond 34 points.
Thank you.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
I had to do that. I'm a little bit upset about that one. Not a whole lot, just a little bit, just because it is newer, whereas the third relic slot is,
yeah, it's basically beginning of the expansion.
Yeah, and this is 7.2 stuff. So
if the math didn't work out to be basically the same as far as how far you get, I would be upset too. But since it's basically just cutting out about 20 minutes of questing that you would have had to do to get it, totally fine.
It's not a huge thing. As
soon as you hit 110 in patch 7.3, you will have artifact level 41 for your artifact knowledge, and it will increase weekly automatically. No more research required. Love this.
So I have every class, obviously I mentioned, at 110, and they all have artifact knowledge 40 because I bought the book. That being said, I have 13 because I have multiples of a couple classes. Well, I have multiples of every class, but max level Demon Hunter I have multiples of. I'm fine with this too. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I got rid of some extra resources. My Paladin, my main, has 189,000 order hall resources. I'm not worried about spending them on those books.
Yeah, you should probably take those to the that old trader and buy a bunch of crap
Probably.
and sell a bunch of crap and get a bunch of gold. But anyway,
Probably.
so someone in the chat, Desney, actually just made a comment about how she had so many AP items stacked up in the bank for one of her characters that she just doesn't want to use them right now. Well, this is actually something that would kind of make sense if you don't want to do that quest line to unlock 34 and past to hang on to, even though most other things you won't want to hang on to or grind up. If you don't want to do that quest on an alt, just hang on to your AP items because they will work after this thing happens. So that's good. Invasions will keep going. There's going to be catch-up tokens from missions and chests that help you quickly increase the item level of your followers. That's huge.
Thank God, because all my followers most of them aren't even at level 110, so they're not even at like the base 750,
They're
760.
the white quality.
White quality, they're
Yeah.
not even max level.
And the one thing I thought that was kind of cool about that is that once you're able to get them all to 900, if you haven't already on your alts, you then unlock and open up the possibility of making a lot of gold from your mission tables on your alts, just like we did in Warlords for those of us that didn't go on break and made a ton of gold. So kind of seems like that might happen again. So we'll see if they end up nerfing those gold missions. But for now, fair game. Netherlight Crucible. I don't know a whole lot about this. This is kind of
So
spoilery.
This is basically, this is without getting into like the too long didn't read version. It is reforging for your artifact relics.
Artifact relics.
That's basically what it is. It's reforging on that. You get extra traits by doing stuff and opening it up and all that. You have to unlock it up to a point to get use of it, and then after that you have to do stuff to unlock like level 1, level 2, level 3, etc. and so forth. But it's short version. It is reforging your relics.
Speaking of reforging, I talked a lot about reforging again, which it seems to come up in almost every other Q&A that they do now. And they talked a little bit about why they don't think it will come back, even though there was some positive things from it. They talked about artifact power in PvP, how it relates to the Crucible. Artifact appearances in Transmog. Artifact appearances, there will not be any more. 7.2 was the end of the new ones for this expansion anyway, which they have talked about that being definite. The other thing they did change is that the special appearances that you can get from some of them, which required you to wear them, those appearances in certain things like rated PvP, is going away, meaning that you can wear artifacts of any spec as long as it's your artifact weapon of any spec in those things, and they will count as a total for all of those skin unlocks, which is good.
I'm happy about that.
I think that makes a lot of people happy, because if you're a PvPer and you really don't want to do the PvE content, now you don't really have to, other than that one time, and vice versa. It makes it a lot easier for all of your characters to get the actual skins that you want. Still have to do a little bit of work, but at least you don't have to do it in a really difficult way.
And that is per character, not account. It's
Correct.
per character.
Right. Prestige, artifact appearances, we pretty much just talked about. Go to the next one. See, if you see something you want me to slow down on, just let me know. Mythic Plus changes. They're very happy with the changes they made in Mythic Plus. Be perfectly honest, I think they did a good job with them. It seems like there's a lot less of the grinding, 4 through 7s that we used to have all the time. But people are actually trying to do higher keys. I see people in higher keys all the time. However, I still think the 15s to 20s are a little bit rough for most people. Although there needs to be some higher end content for some of the higher end players, so that way people have something to try to work for. They said that Mythic participation for Mythic Pluses is up across the board in all regions. However, he compared it to a time where it kind of re-released about 7, 8 months ago, and said it was similar there, so it kind of makes sense. They talked about some of the rewards that are coming from it, like mini sets and things like that, such as the items from Court of Stars. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of that.
Likewise.
If those kind of rewards, the fact that they exist, I'm fine with, as long as it's not like the Arcano Crystal, which I know is not a Mythic Plus thing. As long as it's not like, oh, this is best in slot, even if it's 57 item levels lower than current tier.
Well, to a lesser extent, that is true about that Court of Stars set for Prot Pally. Yes, you needed to have it Titan Forge up pretty high to make it better than the current Mythic, but it was pretty much if you could get one within 20 item levels, then it was better to get that piece. So it wasn't
that's what I
not
mean,
as
though. As long
bad
as
as
it isn't-
Arcano, but almost.
As long as it isn't that kind of a situation, then I'm fine with these little mini sets giving bonus stuff.
Mythic Plus and older content, they said they are not planning on expanding Mythic Plus systems to dungeons from older expansions. I do have a hypothetical about this that we'll come back to at the end that I want to ask you guys about. Mythic Plus systems allow dungeons to remain relevant during the entire expansion, something that could be expanded in the near future, maybe trying it when time walking, which I could definitely see it being cool in time walking. Like as a Mythic Plus Underbog as part of your weekly Legion activity. So imagine having to do like a Mythic Plus old dungeon instead of 5 time walkings. That'd be kind of neat.
If it was one dungeon instead of 5,
or 2,
okay.
I mean, yeah. At that point, they're harder, so it wouldn't make sense to have to do 5 of them. But 1 or 2 as opposed to 5, totally. Augment runes. There is a perma rune coming in 7.3 once you're exalted with Army of Light, which is good because the runes are
just
still
like last
expensive.
expansion, there was a augment rune that we had.
Yeah, no problem. Good night, Alan. Time walking raids should let you pick up where the leader left off. They supposedly already fixed this, so the next time that it comes around, we should actually see that hotfix in place. All right, and then we get to the big one, World First Race. So this is kind of the funny one that there's a lot of memes about. Ian said some things that if you just listened to him and you didn't listen to anyone else, sounded totally cool and right and not really a slam. But then when you talk to and listen to and read other people's comments about it, he kind of basically said that their testing team is better than all the other World First Raiders.
That's not what I heard.
Right.
I whenever I went through,
Mm-hmm.
that was Twitch Chat's original reaction. Did he just say that their QA team is better than Method? And no, that just mean whenever they did more elaboration on it, they said no, we're just not having to scale it up as much as we used to, because I think they said last expansion was 35%.
Yeah, he did say that. He did say that. But it did cause an uproar. A lot of people thought that he was basically dogging the World First teams, which it's already kind of a tender subject because of the responses that came from Exorcist, which he did quote and say that there was a lot of good information in there. So he did kind of give them a shout out based upon this stuff that the guild leader actually wrote to them about, not the other person.
I got a kick out of it because he did that good thing, bad thing, good thing.
Yeah.
With them.
Yeah.
Like here's some good things we got out of that. But we did also see that, they think we let them QA our stuff. No, we had like 100 something hours on this boss.
Yeah.
But see, I didn't take it to mean that. What I took it at, like what I assumed he meant was, like, oh, their team was working on this particular fight and they got through it, so yeah, let's scale it up, X percentage, which turned to be 35 or whatever percent. But I didn't think that their team then played around with it at that percentage.
Well, see, I don't think their team did play around with it at that percentage. At least not at the max cap that they put it at, or a lot of the things that then became impossible, that later had to be hot fixed and nerfed, would have become more evident for them. Whatever the percent they basically buffed everything to be, obviously was too high for the last 2 to 3 bosses, especially KJ. But there was literally a fight like in Avatar where it was broken, and until they made a couple of hotfixes, literally no one could beat it. And if you would think about the time that Method had out in front of everyone else, that they basically spent time while it was unkillable, stuck on that boss while everyone else was trying to catch up to them. Method may have really beat the crap out of everybody. They beat everybody by 7 days, but they may have beat everybody by even longer if that fight had actually been killable when they got there. So I believe what he's saying, but at the same time, I don't believe what he's saying, because when they buffed these fights, they made them unkillable, which, to be honest, I don't want them killing it before 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that, personally, because I don't have to deal with it. But to me, it can't be unkillable. It can be super highly tuned. But if you make something unkillable and then you nerf it later after all the other raid teams have had a chance to try to catch up, that's kind of, I don't know how I like that.
So when you say unkillable,
Yes.
and you're talking about the world first people,
Mm-hmm.
I have a completely different reaction, because they're going in under geared, technically speaking. If they went in with best in slot, everything except for that boss, and they had it, as good as they could get gear, and it's still unkillable then, and then with Titan Forging, I'd take that away entirely. But
here's the difference. You're talking about tuning. I'm talking about mechanically impossible. Two different things. The couple of the hotfix they had to do, especially on Avatar, were actually game-breaking related. They had to change the way that the fight worked in order for it to actually be able to be killed. I'm not talking specifically just about numbers. Yes, they tweaked lots of numbers. They did lots of nerfing. They changed lots of things. But there was a couple of places where it was literally mechanically unkillable when Method got there the first time. And those changes had to be made. If their internal testing team had run into a mechanically impossible to do boss, you would think they would have caught that and fixed that. That's what I'm talking about.
Their internal team, though, is not stacking 15 rogues out of their 20 tunes so they can soak things.
Well, that's my point, is that if their internal team couldn't kill it with what I would consider to be a regular group, and then your world first team gets there and it's literally mechanically impossible, not overtuned, mechanically impossible to do it, then how come your QA team didn't catch that? That's my point.
Well, my thought on it is they're literally thinking, okay, we're just testing the boss to make sure nothing, like the game doesn't crash and stuff like that. I don't know what their Q&A team look for, what they do, all that stuff. So I can't answer that. But my understanding of it, or at least this is what my brain is thinking, as long as they can get through the fight either to a certain point and then all they have to do is adjust the numbers, that's what they're like. Tuning is all that. So maybe it was just what they did, caused an error in the code, or the matrix, the cat walked by twice or something. I don't know. But yeah, if there's something in the fight that causes you literally cannot, like Lich King, I'll go back with that. If you get him to this certain percent by this time, he's killable, but you don't have the DPS to do it. So the entire platform drops away 5 minutes earlier than it should. That wasn't a thing that actually happened, but that kind of thing. If something like that happens where you literally cannot get to a killable spot, yeah, then something needs to happen, but...
Which part of what they changed was like that. Again, a lot of it was tuning changes, but there was some mechanical hotfixes that they had to do, and they did while they were actually in there fighting it a couple of times, where they literally had to change the actual fight. And they speak to that a little bit, if we go back to the notes here, talking about fights are designed and the mechanics are added and removed to address problems. That's the kind of thing where that makes me question the way that they're doing their QA. Not necessarily whatever amount they buff the fight by, because I agree with you. Eventually, get enough gear. It doesn't matter if they buffed it by 35%. They're still going to be overcome that once they get enough gear. But mechanically, if they can't do something because of the way the fight works, that should get caught by the QA team. Now, they also talked a little bit about the soaks. There wasn't enough coordination between encounter designers, resulting in similar solutions, lots of soak mechanics to problems. So, again, maybe these teams aren't actually doing the fight the way the designers intended the fight to be done, a la 5-6 rogues, for example. I'm sure they didn't really design the fight thinking, oh, they'll just bring 10 rogues, because nobody would normally do that. But those kinds of things I totally understand and get. Maybe we saw teams that were just doing it differently than what they expected them to do, and I totally understand that. But it is
that
something,
always happens too.
Yeah.
So,
and they did accept that they realized that too late, and it shouldn't be a problem in Argus. And I love it when they actually take a little bid of responsibility for it, which they did. So that's great.
I love that he just opened up with Tomb of Soak, Garrus.
Yeah. Nether shards will continue to be used on catch-up gear and cosmetics. Relinquished vendor is moving from Argus.
Nether shards is current stuff.
That's what's on the next line.
Yeah.
So, yep. Relinquished vendor is moving to Argus to find Argunite that he will trade for an item level 910 items. So yes, that Argunite is the new thing that's replacing Nether shards.
Hey, we heard you guys don't like currency, so let's add 17 per expansion.
Totally agree.
I swear they said they were doing less currency somehow.
So we've got rid of...
They did say that.
Honor points, valor points.
Honor's back.
Justice points. Well,
Honor's back,
Honor's back.
and there's extra stuff.
And now
if
there's...
you disenchant
now there's marks of honor.
And if you disenchant your gear, you get some special... It's like Obliterum, but it's not.
It's a special Obliterum piece to upgrade other PvP gear. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, they said they were going to limit the amount of currencies we have, but that didn't happen. That's too bad. That wasn't one of the questions. The bottom line on this one says, don't hold on to Nether shards or worry about them. Patch 7.3 has a new system, which is what Draven said and is what that second line said too.
Yeah, unless there's something specific out of the current Nether shard vendors that you want, throw them out for trinkets or relics or whatever you can. 5,000 each. Just get rid of them.
Okay, class design. If you roll as a damage dealer, you can compete as a damage dealer. Okay.
Mostly. That's basically saying there's no hybrid. They got rid of the hybrid tax is what that's saying. Like way back when, if you played a rep paladin, you weren't allowed to do as much DPS because you could go tank or heal.
Right. And then I love how they just said rogues have individual survivability utility, which can be useful for the group if they use them to soak mechanics. Well, yeah, we get that. That's why they used 5.
I like our chat is still listing currencies, by the way.
Yes, there's so many. So, specs, damage, auras. I didn't know these existed, which I think is kind of a cool thing. Apparently, there is an aura that you don't see in any of the actual listings of attributes your character has, which can change your damage up or down with one modifier from Blizzard, which is pretty awesome. This is probably part of the reason why most of the specs from a damage standpoint are pretty close right now. They can literally go in and bump you up 1 or 2% or down 1 or 2% just to make everybody fairly close.
I will actually tell you a funny story about that. This must have been right when they developed the technology. On my Brewmaster Monk, this was back in Pandaria. It was in Pandaria. I had this thing. My stats were always red, like where you see your agi and your whatever. Everything was always red. I took off all my gear. It was red. Like, you know, if you have like res sickness and you look at your stats, they're negative for. And I was like, what the heck is this? So I put in a ticket and I was like, my character's glitched. And the GM was like, no, remember we nerfed monks? So it's just an invisible debuff that you have. That's how they nerfed them. So that must have been when they implemented it, and it was slightly like there was no buff or debuff on me, but you could see it in your stats page. So they got better at hiding that. I'm guessing, obviously.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Class balance changes. Team's mostly happy. We kind of already talked about that. They did nerf Cathedral, so enough complaining about high-end Cathedral keys has made them nerf that, which is good. They finally realized it wasn't just that it was the new dungeon, and that it was just hard.
Some of them are still... People still don't want to go up too high.
Oh, yeah. It's people still don't want to go there, and they still don't really want to do Kara, even though both of them have been nerfed a little. Raid Finder difficulty. They keep going back and forth on the Raid Finder difficulty thing. So it is tourist mode. It's not tourist mode. If it's not going to be tourist mode, why do we even have Raid Finder anymore?
For the people who want to say they raid.
Yeah, it
should just be the same as normal then. Raid Finder should be normal. Why do we need 4 level difficulties if Raid Finder is going to be basically just slightly easier than normal?
Because look at all the pre-mates who can't do normal.
I think you have bad luck with pre-mates.
I don't do pre-mates anymore. But there's a shit ton.
Well, I just feel like that the tourist mode made sense. Show people the content that you guys have worked on to make it look amazing. And it should be relatively easy, where if you wipe a couple of times, you can easily get past it. My whole thought is that, yes, you need to know the mechanics. Maybe the mechanics don't need to be as punishing. So maybe one mechanic doesn't wipe the whole group, but the mechanics should still be there. But at the same time, I don't know how many people actually use LFR to learn the fights, especially since it comes out later. So I don't really understand what role
so
it accomplishes.
My understanding is LFR is there, tourist mode or not, for the people who don't have a set schedule, and they don't want to spend the time trying to get into you must have AOTC to get into this normal run. You must have gear level, eye level 1000, but it only drops 900 gear. I don't care. You need 1000. It's for people who don't want to deal with that kind of thing. So LFR is for that.
Yeah. I just
but I
feel
thought
like
really funny.
they could easily squish normal and LFR into the same difficulty then moving forward. Make normal
You still have
able
that
to be
same
queued
issue.
forward.
You can't. Yeah, you just have that same issue is the problem.
No, that's what I'm saying. Just basically get rid of normal is what I'm saying.
Okay, so LFR and normal become the same thing. So you can. Do we, like, as other groups, if we're doing our normal part of it, are we automatically available for other people to queue into our group? Or do we have to sign in saying we can do that?
I would say we just queue for it as a full group, and if people get queued in, they get queued in. Maybe give us a button to be able to turn that on and off. Something like that would be nice. But yeah, I'm of the opinion that
if we're in normal, who is going to? Because I mean, we're in comms, we're able to talk.
Mm-hmm.
What if the other person doesn't want to do it? You can't kick them out.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't do that in LFR now.
Though. Yeah, but imagine trying to do kill Jaden progress on. No.
Well, that's the thing. They are saying that they want to make LFR harder. That is what he said.
Yeah, and I'm just not going to do it.
They're making it
I don't do it
harder
now.
and easier. From what I saw, they are, hey, some of these things, not in this difficulty. Don't worry about it. Instead of making it to the point where you can just cheese everything and stand in everything, don't worry about it. We just won't put this in there. Desolate Host being one of the weird ones where the Desolate Host doesn't show up. Whatever. Another one that is weird is the next last boss, the Fallen Avatar. The maiden chick isn't even in the fight, so you have to literally have it. It's a DPS race. And then you have to be able to cheese it on the lower area because the DPS just isn't going to be there any other way. But
they actually
putting in
say
a mechanic or two that actually you have to, learn this mechanic because it will kill you, such as the first boss. If you don't get behind those pillars, it'll still kill you in LFR. That's on purpose.
So,
So you have
their actual statement was, there's no longer a desire to make Raid Finder a tourist mode. The team is hoping to make difficulty closer to Mista Pandaria difficulty than Warlords. Well, in Mista Pandaria, we didn't have 4 different difficulties. We had 3.
No, we had 4.
LFR,
Very end.
Flex, Normal, Heroic, and then they changed
No, we didn't
everything.
have Mythic.
so-
It was 4. It was 4 because
Yeah.
we had Flex.
Flex.
Yeah.
Didn't Flex come out at the same time as Mythic?
No. Mythic was like the very last patch. Flex was like 2 patches in when SOO first started. I guess that would be 3 patches in. But anyway, this is my thought, is that we don't need 4 or 5 difficulties. If Raid Finder's not going to be tourist mode, you could very easily just call Raid Finder normal. Give people the ability to queue into it just like you can in Raid Finder. Make it not be as challenging as normal is with some of the mechanics, but still get all the mechanics there. And then make Heroic actually be the one that people who are on organized groups go for. I think that wouldn't necessarily be a problem, and it helps fight item level bloat that's out there right now, which is kind of ridiculous, to be perfectly honest.
If I would rather keep it with the 4 difficulties than put normal in there, because there are times where, like with our group, we're banging our head against this one boss all night, and it's just like, why can't you just learn how to back up so we can get that freaking shot on more than one person instead of you standing on the person doing it?
But how does LFR help that?
It keeps people that in that particular case it doesn't do anything. But what I mean is, LFR is going to be the easier one. I don't want to have to queue into normal and then go straight into heroic, because like we cleared normal how many times before we bothered with heroic? Really, seriously?
So
into heroic?
this is my point. They are saying that LFR needs to be harder.
No, but
Sorry.
That is literally the quote from
I'm-
what they said, Draven. You can't
Okay.
argue that.
they don't want it tourist mode. They want a couple mechanics to actually matter. Like
It
you can
doesn't say
actually
couple.
die in there.
It doesn't say couple.
This is the highlight reel. What we're looking
Keeping
at.
all of the mechanics for Raid Finder difficulty, but making them weak didn't feel great. There are a lot of mechanics you could just ignore. The team's biggest challenge concern is for people that are only doing Raid Finder difficulty. Instead, the team moved to having fewer mechanics, but making them meaningful and challenging, is the quote-unquote.
Okay, that is what is on the screen. I am not arguing that. That is not necessarily the exact thing that got said in the video. I
can't play the video.
I'm just saying. What I'm condensing it because that's what I do, because that's just how it works for me.
That's what she said.
They're not. They don't want okay, so we'll take Desolate Host. They got rid of too much, and they said as much. But they want to have a couple mechanics that you still have to learn, and then if you want, you can go into normal, and there's a couple more mechanics. Oh, there's a couple more in heroic. You have to do this a little different, and then in mythic, you just have that giant cluster that you have to deal with the whole time
So
through.
that brings me to the second thing we're going to talk about once we finish here, because you've basically proven my point.
I want to keep them separate just for my own personal
I'm fine with them
sanity.
separate as long as one of them's tourist mode. All right, last one. We're skipping this one on the top because we already talked about artifact appearances. But split raids, they don't like split raids. Neither do the World First Raiders really like having to do split raids and being in the raid every day of the week just to be able to get the gear to the right people, which then makes them overpowered so that they can do just a little bit faster. Hi, kitty. You guys can't see it. You'll see it in a minute.
Hi, kitty.
Sharing loot lockouts across difficulties would have a big negative impact. Absolutely. So like what you were saying, Draven, about, possibly doing another difficulty, well, now you couldn't get loot from it. So that makes that even less likely to happen. So teams like ours, which is doing normal and doing heroic, would have no reason to do that if we couldn't get gear from both. So they basically are saying that they don't like it, but they haven't figured out a way to make it not beneficial for the top teams and also not hurt the non-top teams, which I like the fact that they're not doing something that's going to negatively affect everyone. But that's going to lead me to one of the things I want to talk about once we're done. Then the last thing they talked about was Worgen and Goblin models. If you play a Worgen or a Goblin, they haven't forgot about you completely. They just put you on the back burner.
Other than the Worgen female, I didn't have a problem with them. They're not quite, panda level, but they're still way better than everything else was.
They were the best before the pandas came out. So honestly, they don't look bad. Some of the Goblin ones sometimes look a little rough, but they still look better than everything else that came out before them. So
yeah, I'm
Goblins
fine with the
need to
rework.
just
It's not
not be so barf green. That's all.
Barf green.
They are
Yeah.
barf green.
okay.
So
I'm fine with them doing, having the rework ready to go, all that fun stuff. But honestly, the female Worgen is the only one I think actually needs it.
all right. So the two things that I wanted to talk about before we move into our last actual piece of content that we wanted to talk about tonight. One, they did not talk about Titan forging, war forging, and people getting gear out of LFR at all. I think that was a huge miss. Either they just didn't have an answer or someone messed up. They really needed to talk about that. That's affecting
It was possible
every
that
team.
they didn't get a question.
Baloney.
I'm not saying it's likely. I'm saying it's possible.
I'm betting they got 100 of them.
Okay, well, keep in mind, you also have to factor in the names of people, because if it's
Right.
a X-rated name, they can't use the question.
You're giving them excuses, Draven.
I'm just saying, if your name is, what was it was like?
Go ahead,
Blood
say it
Fletcher
so
or
you can
something or
mute
other
yourself
was
later.
in there.
Well, Lore is not going to pronounce it right anyway, so it doesn't matter. Second
but
thing,
you can see what it is.
there is a rumor / feeling out there that this may be the last expansion where world first rating is necessarily a thing, because instead they may make Mythic Plus style raids, where raids start having affixes similar to Mythic Plus dungeons, where you don't have normal, heroic, mythic. You have normal and Mythic Plus. And the Mythic Plus challenge will be the actual challenge in order to see how high you can actually get.
As long as the affixes are not on a rotating schedule, like this week it is this set, and then next week it is this other set, and because of how it is, it sucks worse.
Mhm.
If it's a
Jaden tyrannical.
Well-
whatever they go with, as
But-
long as it is between levels plus level 1 through whatever, you have this affix
Right.
every week. Next, and then higher up, you have this one added onto it, and then this one added onto it. As long as it is a steady, the same one all the way through, and then when you get to like plus 20, like here's world first, Mythic plus 20, kill Jaden. You have every single affix. Good luck, have fun. We'll see you whenever you don't clear it this week.
Well, that's the thing, is that what you're describing your horror of it changing every week, and what I would counter that with is that keeps the content fresh, just like the dungeons have been kept fresh.
Okay, but how often have you skipped Mythic Pluses because of the affixes?
A whole lot as a tank. So yeah, don't get me wrong.
Exactly.
But my feeling is that it won't be the exact same thing that we've got going on with dungeons, but a version of it, where maybe it instead of having rotations as far as what the affixes are, it will be at +3 you get this affix, at +5 you get this affix, at +7 you get 2 affixes, you know what I mean? And something like that, where it would still rotate, but not in a way where it'd make you really want to just hurt yourself, but only slightly.
Yeah.
Because that
So
will
what
keep
if-
people wanting to do the content longer.
I don't want Mythic Plus raids.
Well, it's not something you would have to do. But
I
what
want to
if?
raid.
No, I meant the Mythic Plus part of it. Like, you don't need to do that if you
Right.
don't.
I mean, the
Keep it
difference
good.
is we'd still raid Mythic or whatever they called it, whatever the highest level that wasn't Plus. We would still do that, but it would be the world first race wouldn't be a, hey, let's race to kill the final boss. It would be a, hey, let's see how high we can get. So instead of having this 2-week crazy time period, you'd have basically once a week to clear the instance and get loot, and then you get a key.
Loot is
and then
exponentially going to Titan Forge for freaking forever, and I don't.
True, but that's in the hardest content, and for me, it's okay if it's in the hardest content. It's not okay if it's in the easiest content.
What if there was a list of
Titan
like?
Forging.
Yeah, I'm over Titan Forging at this point too. I'm done with it. I don't care. Get rid of it. But in terms of the affixes, what if you have, here's a list of 3 possibles for the first affix. It could be any one of these 3, and those change every week. And then the next one is a different set. And that particular, like 1 through 5, you can get, one of these 3. And then you get rolls and you get this one. Okay, and the next week you get a different one. And it just is only those particular to choose from. The next setup or whatever is, whatever these 3 are, it could be any 1 or 2 of them, and then it just keeps going like that. If it's going to rotate like that, that's another story. As long as it's, you can't get.
I honestly feel like it may be something like that. Real quick, Alessandro asked how many times can you really run a dungeon though? A lot. It like personally, I do them normally, but not every day. There are a lot of people who literally that's all they play right now is Mythic Plus dungeons. And they do change it, but they change it in subtle ways. Sometimes it can be really ridiculous because of a combination. So for example, in dungeons, you have something called skittish, which means the mobs don't have a very high threat threshold, so they can very easily lose threat on the tank and go run and hit someone. They basically drop aggro all the time. So from a tanking standpoint, that's a little annoying. And then they have something else called bolstering, where all of a sudden, every time you kill one, it bolsters all the other ones that are around it. So like, for example, that combination from a tank's point of view is not very fun. And there's also one called teaming, which doesn't work very well with skittish, because now you have extra mobs on top of the ones that are already there, and none of them want to stick to the tank. So it can be challenging, and those are just a couple of examples. So it does change it, but in subtle ways. So like the normal encounters, the normal boss mechanics are basically the same, other than the fact it might hit a little harder or have a little bit more life. But the way to get there, on the way to get there part, can change dramatically depending upon when those affixes are. And Destiny, I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. You've done Mythic Plus. You're a very good player. So I don't believe you when you say you couldn't do it. I think you'd be fine. But it'll be interesting to see if that's actually what happens. I've heard that from multiple people online, that they think that's the way that that Blizzard will go. And part of the reason is they want to have a system that lasts the whole expansion, or at least part of it, not just 2 weeks at the beginning of each major patch.
So let's see. We just killed Jaden, guys. Let's go back and get a Mythic Plus 35 Xavius.
Ew.
So part of the reason why that would actually be attractive to some people is we have lists in game for Mythic Plus. Like if you look at your Mythic Plus menu in game, it shows you the people in your guild that have run the highest ones. There are places like Raider.io, which actually lists out all of the people who have done things like these Mythic Pluses. So there is some competitive competition to it, which drives people to go. Now, yes, it's not everybody, but the people who are world first raiders, and I would even venture to say, top 2,000 or 3,000 raiders in the world would totally be into this. And it's a way to actually keep them engaged because of the way it changes.
Honestly, I'm going to disagree with that. I think the only reason they would go back and do the plus 35 Xavius would be because he had a piece of gear.
Okay, well, let me backtrack for a second. Are you saying Xavius because you're talking about going back 3 raids?
Yeah.
Okay, now I agree with you. I don't think people will go back 3 raids. I'm talking current raid.
Yeah, current raid, that's another thing. But if I'm just using Xavius because he was the first boss, or the first last boss. Whether he has a drop or not, I have no idea. But you go back because maybe he's got the Arcano crystal, and because you're at plus 35, it can actually drop a 1050 item level. It's already freaking overpowered where it's at. Having it that high, people are going to want to run it so they can do current stuff and be like, you can't kill me.
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly part of it. I wouldn't argue with that. But I think there's also some prestige involved with being able to say, oh, I did, what is it, Tumasar Garrus +5 this week, instead of saying, what boss are you stuck on Mythic? Oh, we're 5 and 9. Been 5 and 9 for 2 weeks. We spend 3 hours at a time trying to kill this last boss and we can't get it. You know what I mean? I think having a ramping up in difficulty with some prestige with it, that changes at least a little bit, is something that could be at least interesting. But we'll see. So
I don't know. I'm not. They might do that, but it's not something that I really am looking at as something I want to do.
I think if they do, it'll be much more thought out than the version that I'm currently thinking of and have heard about. But we'll see what happens. I definitely feel like it's a problem for them because of how small a time frame it's actually active, and it's part of the reason why they don't spend more time and energy on it, because of the fact it's only a few weeks at the beginning of each major patch, and it becomes a major focus during that time. And if they were able to actually spread it out, it would benefit them a lot. So, I mean, I'm sure there'll be some kind of changes, but we'll see what they actually end up being. Oh, boy. You can get rid of that one. Meanwhile, so there was another really big thing that happened, and that was a brand new mount and pet. And it's a combo, the Twilight and Luminous Star Seeker. I was going to say Star Streaker. That'd be a totally different thing.
Just slightly different, but it would have been
Yes.
appropriate to chat.
Yeah. So these mounts change color. So if you happen to have those ones like that little tree pet that changes to all the different seasons and different colors, different leaves and all that.
The fairy dragon one that changes color.
Yep.
Also.
For example,
Yeah.
both of these do that as well. Very, very cool looking. And they're kind of the flavor of the month. If you've been in Dalaran for the past couple of days, you've probably seen at least one or two of these around. Definitely cool. Did either of you guys purchase one of these guys yet?
I have received it, yes.
Notice you said received, not purchased.
There's a little bit of a story, but that's for later.
Okay.
So, I am currently broke. So no, I did not buy it. As soon as I get money, that is going to be one of my first, for me, purchases.
Yeah. I was very tempted to do it right away. I did wait, and the reason that I waited is the pet is the thing that I really want more than the mount. Just because I have so many mounts at this point, and I'm just using the random button. The mounts for me are losing a little bit of prestige because of the fact I have so many. But I do very much like the cat. So when I first saw the cat on Wowhead or whatever it was that first data mined it, I'm like, I need that. So I definitely will probably get it, but I haven't done it yet.
So there's
go
a
ahead.
cool thing that I found today. It's an add-on. It's called Select. Have you heard of it?
No.
It allows you to. All it does is allow you to put Select in a macro command. And then what it does in the macro is it pops up a little window like your hunter pet window, like a tab that you can select things from.
Hmm.
And you can put all your mounts in there as a list. And it's pretty cool.
So
it's
how hard do you
exactly
have
like
to scroll
setting
to
it-
get through all your mounts?
Well,
Miss 300
no,
mounts.
I just put in like 6 favorites. I put in the Aqua Strider, the repair mount, 2 flying mounts, and 2 ground mounts.
Hmm.
So I put in 6.
So
It's
it's exactly like the in-game thing that you can, with theory, call it at random, but it's selecting from your favorites. If you only have 6 of them that are favorites, then
Ooh,
that's
no,
all
No,
it'll
it's
pick.
not
six.
selecting your favorites. You tell it what mounts to put in there.
And then you also pick it from the list of 6, which one you're going to get on. So all it basically is doing is it giving you 6 buttons on one button.
Yeah.
So I can see why people would want that, but that doesn't really help me though. I just hit the random favorite mount button and let it pick one for me that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I've got, with the exception of my paladin, because they're horses, I don't care. Every class mount that I've got is my flyer for that particular one, except for druid, because you don't mount with a druid. That's just silly. But otherwise, my flyer mount is the class mount, and then I've got a ground mount for, like, if I decide I need it. And then I've got the Water Strider and the Traveler's Tundra. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Water Strider for walking on water for places I'm not allowed to fly. The Traveler's Tundra mount for vendor purposes. And the class mount because they're freaking new to me. So, of course, I'm going to use them.
Yeah.
I love the monk class mount, but there's one thing that makes me not use it.
That it talks to you?
No, I love that. The thing that gets on my nerves is it has a glitch where when you interact with an NPC, it does not dismount you, and instead it gives you a red text saying, you are mounted. So that is, like, for me, a totally unplayable thing. So, like, for example, if I'm flying to, say, I don't know, like a pet battle world quest, you normally just fly, talk to the NPC, and it dismounts you automatically. And you do that all the time. Like, for a lot of stuff, you never actually, at least I never actually dismount. So that's a big thing. That's a big problem, just saying.
So Gal brought up something which is actually really good use of that add-on you were talking about. You could use that for your food, your rune, and your flask buttons, and put them all on one button. You could use them for, like, say if you had 4 or 5 different toys that you liked, you could put them on there in order to summon your toys. It's actually a really good way to save some button space for cosmetic type stuff and for buff things as well. So
I don't have buttons. I've got a button for a potion because it's mid-fight. I don't want to have my bags open mid-fight. But other than that, unless it's like a flask, I have to open my bags and click it in my bag.
See, I have a button for each of them, and I had, like, for example, on my paladin, I had 2 different potions because it depended upon what time in the fight I was going to use them. I've got 2 different foods because it depended upon what kind of fight it actually was. So, like, I literally probably could save myself 15 buttons using that add-on called Selectables. Is that what it was?
Select.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't think that would actually help because you'd have to open it, like,
it's 2 clicks, Raven.
Yeah, but that's instead of 1 click.
No, it saves a button spot. That's actually
you can
totally
macro.
good.
You can hotkey it, so it'll, at least for mounts, it'll default to opening the first, like, using the first item. So even for spells, like it was giving the example, I don't know if this is still true or not because I think buffs are gone, but Warrior had Commanding Shout and something else.
They still have it.
So,
kind of warrior.
But it was basically talking about if you had, like, a DK, you would use one, and if you didn't have a DK, you would use the other. So by default, it'll default to the first one you put in. But then if you...
Oh, I think we might have lost her. We lost her. There's a nice little dirt picture, too, for anybody who wants to get that screenshot. Anyway, no, I totally wouldn't use it for mounts because I already have a 1 button for mounts, but I would use it for what Galv said. Great idea, Galv, and I probably will get that add-on now. Another add-on to add on to my list of a million add-ons. But while we still have Scarlet's face, let's talk about this real quick, and then we can come back to it. So we were lucky enough that we had one of our favorite listeners, viewers, donate us a set of Twilight and the Luminous Starseeker. So you will be hearing from us, or possibly someone else, about how you can win these mount and pet combo. I should not have said these, but still this mount and pet combo. Coming very, very soon. We should either have a winner to announce or we should have more info for you next week on next episode. And we did lose Scarlett. She is now off, so our cams are all messed up again. So, was there anything else, Draven, that you wanted to talk about? Look at that camera. It's over there. It's funny cameras. Funny cameras. Scarlett. Wow. Yeah, that's super creepy. Anyway.
No, I got nothing. That pretty much covered everything. And yeah, that is weird, especially on the delay.
Mm-hmm.
No, I just say thank you to the person who did the donating. I don't know if they did it anonymous or not, because I wasn't there when it happened. And yeah, trying to figure out where I'm at here in the frame.
You're like all the way to the left. It's all good. I'm trying to fix it now. Keep going.
Okay. But yeah, we'll figure out something. I don't know how we're gonna take care of it yet. Oh, is she back?
I think she's back. Okay, welcome back.
Yeah.
So you know what's funny is for about a good minute and a half after I froze, I was still watching you guys talk. So you were like, "Oh, that's a funny picture for it to freeze on," and stuff. And I was like, "Can you guys hear me? Hello?"
Nope.
And
It's
then
Yeah, we totally clipped it.
That's okay. It was a pretty funny picture. I saw it. But that's so strange. Like, only half of my internet cut out. Like, I guess the sending part cut out the upload, but the download was still there. So I don't know. Anyways, that was just random.
Yes, internets. Why have you
I think I should
forsaken
swap
Scarlett?
my modem tomorrow desperately.
It might not. It's probably not even your modem, but yeah, you definitely should have someone look at that. Or
It might be. I had an issue a long time ago for a completely different game. I literally could do nothing on the internet because I would disconnect every 15 seconds. Like the whole signal shut down.
It started happening after I moved my desk. So I don't know if I damaged the wires. I don't think I did. But I don't
did you
know.
use a different cord?
No, it's the same cords. The only thing I can think of is either I damaged the wires or like maybe the modem is now crappy. I didn't drop it or anything, but like I don't know.
I don't know. But we announced our giveaway coming up, and our wonderful viewer / listener who provided it.
Yay!
So thanks a lot, Destiny, and look forward to seeing how we can give this thing away. So that's very cool. Did you guys have anything else that you want to talk about this week? Because we're pretty much at the end of the show. No? Okay. No.
Actually, yeah, I have something.
Okay.
I was gonna do it earlier in the show, but it just was one of those things where I've been awake for 4 days. Totem and I were on Realm maintenance this past week for Heroes Never Die, the Overwatch podcast we do.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That was pretty cool. And he made a comment. He's like, "How long has it been since I had you on from the last time?" I was like, "I don't know, like 50 episodes or so, something like that." Because they're like 70.
I think it was probably, we were in like the 20s when he had us on before, I think. Because it was like the same time we first did a show with Lagging Balls. It was like within a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think they were first.
Pretty sure they were. But I think
Yeah.
we were in the 20s,
Well, they were like in
maybe
the
early
40s.
30s. If they were in the 40s,
40s.
then it was about the same time frame then.
Yeah, it was like 57.
So
somewhere
that's like 100.
a year ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
No, that's like 70 episodes ago.
Yeah, it was like a year ago. So, there's that. And he made a comment about it, and all this other fun stuff. And it was cool. He did the heavy lifting, of course, because it was.
He does that. Yep, he's good at that.
Yeah. He's good. Yeah, Ro is cool.
Ro is cool.
That
So
is.
yeah, head over there and check it out. All that fun stuff. Tell him I say hi.
Cool. Well, that was kind of a shout out, but we'll come back to you for some more shout outs. I'm going to start first because you guys are never ready. So I'm going to give a shout out to my raid team this week because, I feel like I need to because, so I called last pull on a boss because I couldn't handle it anymore. And then we killed it. And then we went to the next boss. And I just kind of stopped talking unless I needed to talk and sucked it up and got through. And then we killed that boss. It was great. So shout out to my raid team for putting up with me when I really didn't like any of you at that moment. I stopped talking because people were not listening to what I was saying, Draven. That's kind of the normal thing that happens.
Okay, but why did you stop talking?
Oh, damn.
I don't follow.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
Someone's getting kicked from the raid next week.
Probably.
I still don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was late this week because, real life stuff, but yeah. Speaking of, what was... I'll ask you after the show's over. But,
He's pretending not to hear you right now, the same thing that you were getting mad at for the raid.
Whatever.
Thank you for explaining.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I'm used to you not listening to me. That's every time we argue, we have the same opinion, but you don't want to admit that I'm right, so we go in a circle because you don't listen to what I'm saying. That's normal.
I only admit people are
part
right
of
when
the
they actually
show.
are.
Which you realize that since we are of the same opinion, that makes you wrong.
That happens a lot.
Okay, so anyway, yes, so like Gal said, because they bleeping earned it, that's why I'm shouting out the raid team. Who wants to go next?
Well, she did go. She can go.
Scarlett.
Well, I already did a shout out earlier where I said shout out to the random pug group for not kicking me when I DC'd 3 times during a dungeon, which I'm surprised that because once I was gone for a long time and they just continued clearing. So, shout out to the awesome monk tank that we have on fire department.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that shout out very much.
She
Thank
said
you very much.
Awesome. She said awesome.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yes.
Because I have no idea what's going on half the time.
She's
honestly,
talking about Yuda, not me.
Yes. But you're a good tank too. We used to tank together way back in Siege of Orgrimmar. That was cool.
Scarlett, what's this person's name?
Yuda.
There we go.
So is it me? But this awesome monk tank, Yuda. But you're a good tank too, Theory. Pat.
No,
I don't tank currently for fire department because there was this person who I really enjoy raiding with who all of a sudden needed a raid team, and I invited her to come join us.
Thank you for letting me kick you out of your spot. No, but honestly, this computer is a piece of shit, and I know my rating is... There's a reason I'm saying about that. I know, my tanking and my rating is just gone to heck because my computer is just dying, and I don't know what to do about it. So, most raids, I don't know if you guys know this, but most raids I have 10 FPS. So it sucks. But anyways, so yeah, half the time I have no idea what's going on, but shout out to Yuda. And I had a shout out that I got distracted by, so I don't know. But shout out to that too, whoever it was. You will never know, because I don't know.
Okay. To be continued. Draven.
Well, usual shout out to live chat, mostly. Except for the dude we had to, go away. But, shout out to Ro, which I already did, all that fun stuff. And to the group that I was doing time walking with on my Warlock for letting me Warlock tank the Nexus, because the actual tank DC'd, and yeah, I just threw my pet out and we did that. No issues.
Very good. All right, so before we actually wrap it up, I want to do a quick little PSA. Because you just brought this up, and I feel like I should say something about this. So, if you're a DPS in a dungeon who's fully capable of doing the dungeon by yourself, do the dungeon by yourself. If you're a DPS who really likes pulling all of the mobs, or a healer who likes pulling all the mobs, roll a tank. If you're a person who doesn't follow where the tank goes in a situation where there's multiple different ways you can go, and instead pulls a bunch of trash and kills yourself, drop group and go roll a tank. There's a reason that there is a trinity in WoW. Each different playstyle has certain things they're supposed to do. And when you don't follow that, although it may turn out just fine, you're agitating the other people in the group. Period. Yes, if you have a group of friends and you're trying to do Mythic Plus and you've got a buddy who you know is about to pull the next group, that's a different story altogether. But when you're in a pug and you're doing things that you're not supposed to do, all you're doing is irritating everyone else who's in the group with you and making them not want to requeue with you again.
I was
got
on a
kicked.
healer. Go ahead.
I got kicked on my paladin because I asked the DPS to not pull because I was still learning paladin. Boop, you've been removed from group. Thanks.
That's the reason why I wanted to say something about it. There has been a shift towards just people not caring about DPS or healers pulling anymore. It's worse now in pugs than it's ever been, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that you can actually tank and survive a lot of groups if you're a semi-geared healer or semi-geared DPS in a lot of these, where for a long time you really couldn't. So it's becoming more acceptable, and that's why it's starting to rub me the wrong way. Yes, it's time walking. Everybody just wants to get in there and get out as fast as possible, especially when it's the weekly. We've kind of passed the point where it's an enjoyable content situation because we've seen pretty much all of them now. So everyone really wants to get in and out as fast as possible. And if you've ever ran with me, I don't pull slowly. I'm not the kind of person who pulls 2 mobs and then waits for them to die. That's not how I play. So if you're irritating me because you're pulling extra, I'm sure you're irritating everyone because you're pulling extra. And no, I'm not talking about the random hunter pet going off and pulling a group. That's
It
completely
depends
different
on the
story.
mobs. There are some, even in time walking, there are some that I will pull just the 2 because we don't want to mix them with the next group kind of situation.
Totally. I'm speaking in generalities.
Not often. Yeah, not often. But yeah, I was on I have a couple tank tunes. I even ran my paladin through his tank, which was a cakewalk because I could probably do it in ret, but still. Going through, and then people were just pulling everything. And I'm like, my warrior is not as well geared. It's almost 900 item level now, but I have like 87 freaking cooldowns, and I had to go through all of them to survive.
Yeah.
Like,
I being 780 in a normal, that was painful.
yeah, but I was in a group. I was on either my shaman or my druid as a healer. Okay, that's what I normally would run as, so no big deal. We're in time walking, it's fine. Dude runs in, pulls way more than I know I can handle, because my item level on them are garbage, and he
Can't
dies.
handle a lot.
Yeah. Then he dies and he yells, "What the heck?" I'm like, well, one, you were out of line of sight, so you could have said you were going to do that, so I would have known to do that, but I can't heal through all that. I blew every cooldown I had, and he still died.
Well, this is the other thing that's about
then he
time
left.
walking, is that when time walking is the weekly, you've got a lot of really overgeared characters who are used to being able to do stuff that the game wasn't really designed for you to be able to do, going into a situation where they've been nerfed. So they usually know how to play, but your item level's been reduced to the point where you're not really godly anymore. You're kind of just slightly better than you needed to be to do the dungeon, and you can't really pull 17 packs of groups together at the same time and expect to live. The example that I had from this week was a healer who in, what's it called? Halls of Stone, I think is what it is. It's the one that's in Northrend by Old War, and there's a left and a right, and you can really go either way, but if you go to the left, there's one less pack you can pull. If you go to the right, there's one extra pack you can pull, but almost everybody goes to the right. I'm one of the people who go to the left because less mobs is faster. But anyway, so I start to go to the left, and the healer and one DPS goes to the right, and all of a sudden now we've got 5 packs, and the boss is coming. Luckily, we lived. It worked
That's
out.
what happened with me, except for it wasn't one of us went right or left. It was we all went one direction, and they just kept pulling everything and had all those mobs empowered by the boss, who was thus empowered by all the empowered. I'm like,
exactly. I mean, and then there's another spot in that same instance where the healer ran all the way through, and all the statues came alive, and those statues, believe it or not, just 3 of them kind of hit a little bit hard. So if you get 9 of them, it's a little bit of a rough pull. So that's what ended up happening, and I died. Now they killed everything, so I got res right away because I died towards the end of the pull. But he asked me, he was like, "What happened? Did you get turned around?" And I was like, "No, you pulled 9 of them. This is too much damage for any tank at this level." And he just LOL, and we kept going. And again, this was a group where I was pulling very fast. I would have pulled 6 anyway, but he pulled the extra 3, which made it just a little bit too much to be able to handle, even with a decent healer when he was actually healing. But that's my point, is that if you're doing this in a group because you think it's cool, no, it's not cool. It's usually just annoying. And in time walking, you can't really carry a time walking with one person. It might be possible to solo one, maybe, but you can't really carry a time walking. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, some tanks might be able to.
Right. But that's my point, is it's...
DK probably could too. I've done fairly well on that, but I had a mage.
The scaling isn't right on DHs, so they're a little OP in time walking.
Yeah.
Just in time walking.
But I've figured something out about that dungeon. I'm probably 10 years in the too lateness. In that hallway where those statues come alive, they only come alive if someone is standing there. So if the ranger's standing in the wrong thing, then you pull extra things because they're morons.
That happens everywhere.
Yeah, I know, but people should just...
I had a mage in my one run, and he just kept pulling things, and I literally... My character just sat down. I just sat my character down. They're like, "Are you going to tank?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll tank anything I pull." But he's pulling, so I figured he knows how to tank it. He was like, "Well, if you don't tank for me, we're going to kick you." I'm like, "Good luck with that." I have 2 guildies with me because my it's a horde tune. I've got 2 of my guild with me. You're not going to get anywhere on the kick.
Yeah.
And then he looked. He's like, "Oh," and he's running his mouth the whole time. But yeah, it's annoying. I get you want to get it in and out as quickly as you can, but like you, Theory, if I start and I tell people usually in pugs, my first couple pulls are slow because I'm gauging the group, and then I will go as fast as the group can handle.
I basically do the same thing. I don't pull more than I know I can handle by myself at first, and then I go crazy after that.
Yeah, once I know the group, I will chain pull the entire dungeon if I think we can handle it.
So, I think that gets us to the end. We want to talk. Let me put the contacts out here, and then we'll come back for our last word. Sound good? All right. This is how you can contact us. So at Epic Fail Podcast, we do love it when you contact us. So here's the ways that you can do that. We are at www.epicfailpodcast.com. On Facebook, you can find us at /podcastepicfail. Twitter is at podcastepicfail. You can follow Draven at Draven Dresden on Twitter. You can follow Scarlett at Scarlett_CTR. And you can follow me, Theory, at Gank Theory, also on Twitter. Don't forget, you can find our podcasts on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. We look forward to hearing from you. It is time for the last words.
Norman is awesome.
Okay, bye. Hello, Mother.
You know, the world could always use more heroes.